Hello and welcome back to Evil Dread. It has been quite a while.
It's been 2 weeks because we kind of dropped the ball last week.
I wouldn't say we dropped the ball so much as we were just sick.
Yeah, we were both sick. I got sick because of Wyatt, so it really is all of his fault.
Our school has had this cold bug going around.
Yeah, it's gross.
And my throat is still phlegmy, so there might be some gross noises.
If we had recorded last week, I would have sounded like Kathleen Turner or something.
Oh my god.
Just extremely deep, scary, raspy baby voice.
Mm-hmm.
And Wyeth wouldn't have sounded good either.
No.
But anyway, so that's
feels
Wyeth.
I'm Wyatt.
I'm Lynn, and this is our Thanksgiving episode.
It feels good to be back.
Yeah.
This is a very packed episode.
Yeah, we are recording in the evening, which has never happened because we just had to watch 2 movies and a TV show this week on Wyatt's request.
Yeah, this week we watched the 2016 French film Raw and
the Texas Chainsaw Massacre,
1974, yeah.
And then my contribution to the evening was the Buffy episode Pangs, which is my favorite Thanksgiving episode of anything ever.
So,
where do you want to start, Wyeth? Wyeth brought a lot of misery upon himself this week.
Oh boy. Let's go in with the Texas Chainsaw.
Go in on it.
Since this was my first time seeing it, it's been a movie I've been scared to see since I was little.
Okay, and how did it measure up?
I definitely thought it would be scary, I guess. Mm-hmm. Probably since I've been hyping it up so much, it kind of went below the bar. Mm-hmm. It's still a really great little horror movie.
It's upsetting.
It's so uncomfortable.
That's what we were talking about. The movie itself, the instances of real bloody violence that you see are very few and far between.
And very minimal, yeah.
Yes, but it really, the atmosphere is so oppressive and gross and just disgusting and upsetting.
It is 100 degrees, middle of Texas. Everyone is sweating, and the camera angles are always so close in on people's face that you can see sweat trickling out of every pore.
There is, my favorite shot in this movie is the one where it gets so close to Marilyn Burns' eye when she's, so scared she's losing her mind. And that, to me, is the line from Blair Witch where she's I'm afraid to close my eyes and I'm afraid to open them. In that movie, that was a cool line, but I didn't get that vibe. But that's exactly what's happening in Texas Chainsaw. She's just so scared.
They zoom in on her eyes so close, and you can see,
the bloodshot.
The blood veins in her eyes. And it made me clench.
Yeah. So do you want to... I feel like a lot of people are probably familiar with the plot, and this is a pretty plot-light movie, but we can talk about it.
This movie is an economical 84 minutes.
Yeah,
I feel like, a lot of people know it. Just a group of hippie teens in their VW van driving for some reason through Texas.
Well, I think there is a plot. It's just kind of buried a little bit because you're not really paying attention
Weren't they
to it.
Because the cemetery got vandalized.
Yes, there was grave robbing happening. So the this brother and sister, Franklin and Sally, went to their grandfather's grave to make sure it was okay and his body was still there and stuff. And then they decided to visit their old family house, which is decrepit and run down and all this. And they're with a bunch of their friends who were hippies, and they're reading horoscopes, which was very on brand for me, and I liked it. So they're oh, we're gonna go swim in the swimming hole or whatever. And they get down there and they realize there is no swimming hole, but there's a house on the
but first,
on the hill.
Before they get to the house,
sorry, I'm a mess.
They break a cardinal rule of driving.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Never pick up a hitchhiker.
Well, this was 1974, so I feel like hitchhiking happened more and people were more accepting of it, but it's because of movies like this that you shouldn't know.
Yeah.
We all know better.
Like, my dad will tell stories about when he hitchhiked in rural Texas, and now after seeing that, well, he grew up in a town like that.
Yeah.
And now just thinking about him, like, I'm really glad my dad didn't end up as barbecue.
Well, you wouldn't be here to worry about it if he did, though.
Yeah.
That's something that's always comforting to me.
Thanks, parents, for surviving.
For not dying,
Yeah. So they pick up a hitchhiker who is like a sweaty, grosser version of Adam Driver.
He has he reminded me of on Crazy Ex-Girlfriend where it's like, boy with port wine stain. That's it.
What?
That's like when you have like a discolored part on your face.
Yeah.
It's called a port wine stain.
Huh.
And there's a little boy on a musical number in Crazy Ex-Girlfriend where she's like, I have friends, I definitely have friends.
Yeah.
And she's like, boy with port wine stain. That's him. That was a big digression.
He definitely has it, but this hitchhiker, he has like a dead cat hanging around his neck. That should have been the first sign.
Into a pouch.
Yeah, he gets in the car, starts cutting himself, starts cutting up the people in the car.
He's chill. Like, he's okay. Like, he's just a little off, I mean, at that point in the movie, later on in the movie...
stabbed a man.
He was okay for a while. He was just a little odd.
And then he started
It was kind
stabbing.
of a creep situation, where you don't know, like, am I gonna be rude or am I gonna be polite and let someone crazy into my life? You know what I mean?
But then, again, he starts stabbing people.
Yeah. He bleeds everywhere, and they're like, get out of our car.
And then he bleeds on the side of the car, and is that a symbol?
I don't know. The thing about this movie is, I think there's so much... Like, he puts his blood on the side of the van in a very specific way, and they're just trying to decide whether or not that's a symbol of something or not. And then Pam is always in the car reading astrology books, and she's like, Saturn's in retrograde, you guys. Like, so there's this weird, like, cosmic, overarching, like... doom that's happening. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, you're never going to know why this happens, but like, it's written in the stars and you cannot avoid being killed right now.
Yeah, it's this is their character's fate. That's what it seems like.
Yes, so like, the symbol is never really explained, but I wouldn't be surprised if that family had, its own weird occult creation.
Oh yeah, like all the animal bones felt very shamanistic.
Yes. So yeah, anyway, they stop at a barbecue gas station to get gas. And
they get barbecue and gas, but there's no gas, and so they...
So they're looking for gas when they find this other house on this hill behind. Yeah. And I was telling this to Wyeth, but one of my favorite music reviews for Nicole Dollanganger's first album... it said this album is like the house from Texas Chainsaw. From the outside, it's a beautiful white Victorian in like the Texas landscape, and inside it's like a house of horrors and death, and there are bones everywhere.
This house is a wild horror
maze. Scary. And it's so like, it's an extremely short movie, but so much of it is spent like lavishly filming all of these different really disgusting, horrific, like, creations within this house, which are mostly human and animal bones, like, made into furniture or lampshades. Well, there's a face lampshade, and it's just like taxidermy gone wild in there.
Yeah. All the furniture is made out of bones, basically.
It's horrific. So what did you think? I had already seen this film. I saw it in an introduction to film class, which, ballsy, Professor Stone, at UNM. But, I want to, like, hear Wyatt's first reaction to, like, the unveiling of Leatherface.
It's very, like, it feels both dated, but also still horrific. Like, it's definitely not, like, especially Leatherface, it's not, like, overly grisly. It's not like Saw level of gore.
There's not a lot of blood in this movie.
There isn't. But it's all just so... The way it's filmed feels so gritty, and that's what makes it so deeply uncomfortable.
It seems like it could all be really happening just because of the like film quality. And I mean, there are some beautiful shots. Like, it's a beautifully shot movie, but there's equally there's an equal number of like just where they let it linger on the action and kind of just get in there and follow like what's happening, and it's a mobile camera, so it feels super visceral.
Like, I think a lot of modern horror adds too much sheen to it to make the horror feel real, but this felt real because of how gritty it is.
Because it looked like it was on a Super 8.
And I feel like the two movies this week they're kind of similar in content, but wildly different in execution.
We picked these. Well, Wyeth picked these because he was like, let's do something funny for Thanksgiving week. Let's only watch movies about cannibalism. And then we actually, like, had to prepare food for Friendsgiving yesterday, and that really backfired, didn't it?
Yeah, and I'll talk about my experience later when we get into Raw. But
we ate very little during watching Texas Chainsaw.
we ate... That's not true. We ate a whole bag of puppy chow.
Well, I mean, that's not, like, meat.
No.
You know?
I don't think I'm going to eat meat for, like, a day.
No. Speaking of the barbecue place that they stop at, the man who runs it, Marilyn Burns is the name of the actress. Well, Sally, the character, is escaping Leatherface. All of her friends have been killed so unceremoniously. Quickly, just in the blink of an eye.
That's what makes it so, like, unsettling. Because there's no build-up. Like, all of a sudden, they turn a corner and...
Boom.
Like, the first guy...
That's my favorite part of this movie.
Leatherface turns a corner and hits him with a hammer.
He turns around a corner. There's a close-up of Leatherface that goes kind of slow up him.
Yeah.
Quick cut to him just knocking a guy out with a sledgehammer.
Like, the guy falls and he starts twitching.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so awful. Because, like, in so many movies, it's like
that wouldn't happen.
They're hit and they're knocked out.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's, like...
His, like...
bleeding all over himself and, like, twitching.
His spine is broken.
Yeah.
Clearly. And so Leatherface quickly hits him again, drags him off screen, and then slams a metal sliding door. And it's, like, over in max 25 seconds. And it's the scariest thing. It's so scary. So anyway, all of her friends are being killed, and so Sally runs back to the barbecue place where they went earlier, and the guy's like, I'm gonna help you, I work at this barbecue place.
And it turns out he's the patriarch of the family. And that barbecue they've been eating has been people.
Soylent Green is people. This Texas barbecue is people. So he like puts her in a bag and like ties her up and like just pokes her with
a knife all the way on the short drive back to the house.
And they're just laughing and he's laughing.
Yeah.
But she is kind of invited to dinner.
Sally is tied up for dinner. The worst scene was when they got Grandpa down next to her.
So Grandpa is obviously
a heavy makeup.
Yeah, he is like near death. Like, we have no idea how old Grandpa is because he looks like a mummy. And they bring him down from upstairs. They explain that Grandpa was the one who started this tradition because he was the best cow killer in the state of Texas, and he once did 60 in 5 minutes, and only one hit and they'd go down. So
the scene where Leatherface cuts Sally's finger with a knife and Grandpa
very gently. Like,
that was
just a little bit.
She actually like made him cut in the behind the scenes. The actress, like, they couldn't get the blood pump to work, so she just went ahead and like forced her finger against the knife to cut it. So that was actually blood.
Okay, what happens after that?
And so Leatherface cuts Sally's finger, and Grandpa gets to slurping on it.
Slurps on it like a little straw.
Disgusting.
It's, I'm not gonna say cute, but it's like oddly funny to me. Just like.
Ugh.
Then dinner commences, and it's the scariest part of it to me is when she like wakes up, because she passes out, and she wakes up and she starts screaming, and they scream right back at her
like Coyote.
like just mocking her. So scary and horrific.
Mm-hmm.
You like that lamp with the face on it though?
Nope, sure didn't.
Juxtaposed in the shot right next to her face.
Yep. There was once again some artistic angles.
Let's talk about Leatherface, because I think he's a very interesting figure in this movie.
Mm-hmm. I feel like he's iconic for being, well, having a chainsaw and being like big and
gigantic.
Yeah.
And perhaps wearing a person's face.
Oh, absolutely wearing a person's face. But he's also childlike in his manners. Yes. And I was not expecting that.
It.
I thought that was very interesting.
That was my first reaction when I saw this movie. I was like, okay, this is like the stuff of nightmares. Like, this figure is like one of the most iconic slashers. And he is. And then you see, like, when one of them gets away or something, he's like clearly distressed. He's obviously like underneath, like, developmentally disabled.
Oh yeah.
And he just can't really speak, and he just makes noises, and he's like very distressed. And then the father comes home, and like Leatherface is in the kitchen making dinner, wearing a wig and a face with heavy makeup on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, the mom figured that. He's like childlike and effeminate, or they treat him as such in the family, which is so weird and like oddly makes me like feel weirdly bad for him.
Yeah, you pity Leatherface a little.
Yeah.
He's so terrifying.
Yes. But like simplistic.
Mm-hmm. Like, he's in the big four iconic slasher characters, but he's very unique in that you have almost a sense of sympathy for him.
Yes.
Like, Freddy is kind of like a fun, campy villain. Jason, like, you just want him to, like, kill. And Michael Myers.
Just Mike Myers?
Yeah. Not Michael Myers.
Yeah, baby.
Oh, God.
I want him to kill.
Oof. Well, yeah, not Freddy, but Jason and Michael Myers are kind of the same. Like,
strong, silent type.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But Leatherface is different. Leatherface has, like, you're a victim of something.
Yeah, like, you were very much failed as a child.
Yes, like, you clearly, like, something went wrong in, like, inbred or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just, not to, this isn't a pro Leatherface podcast, but like it's more interesting than you would expect when you go into this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I have never seen any of the other movies, so I don't know, like, how he is treated. I feel like in the most recent ones, they've, like, made him so much more of, like, a larger-than-life, like, monster.
Yeah. Just
from what I've seen of them, but in this one, it's weird.
Outside of the second one, I know the sequels have not been good. Or the remake.
No, and they keep trying it, like, every few years. Leatherface just came out, which is his origin.
Didn't the people who make Martyrs direct it? Or
Inside.
Yeah, one of the French New Wave.
Yeah, so that would be an interesting one to see. I'm not huge on, like, cannibal hillbilly horror just because it hits a little too close to home, bro.
Yeah, you're from that neck of the woods in Arkansas.
Yeah, I'm from, there are mountain communities that you, like, don't fuck with. you know? Yeah, so I'm not into that.
Like, the concept of the Appalachian community areas just terrifies me.
Those arcs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, other things about Texas Chainsaw? Did you think Grandpa was supernatural? Because I've heard some people arguing that he's a supernatural element in this movie, but otherwise it's not.
No.
Me neither. Okay.
I mean, I feel like you could with the, like, there's signs, there's astrology, and there's tons of, like, shaman ritualistic bones.
Yes.
Like, it's like at the other house.
Yeah.
Franklin discovers that very much put together ritual doll or whatever.
Yeah, it looks like Quetzalcoatl, the
Aztec.
The winged serpent.
Mm-hmm. I see that.
So there's a lot of like unanswered questions about like their lifestyle, but like that makes it worse, you know?
Oh yeah, I get that.
And interestingly enough, so Sally's brother Franklin is kind of like a bigger guy, and he's a little bit simple and in a wheelchair, and I draw such strong like lines between him and Leatherface, just because they're both kind of maligned and similar in look and not really valued in the family, kind of. So it's kind of like the nuclear family through a funhouse mirror, or there's notably no mother. Like there's a woman's corpse upstairs.
Yeah.
But
well, I was wondering that if their family would have become similar to Leatherface's had they stayed there, had their family.
Yes, there's a clear line drawn between life.
Because it's obvious that that Sally's family moved on. From that land.
Because their grandpa worked at the slaughterhouse too.
Yeah. But for some reason, the paths ended up diverging, and I think that's maybe the land is cursed.
Well, I feel like it's very much like, here's people adapting to modern society, and here's people who aren't. Yeah. Because they often are like, they don't kill right these days. They use the air gun or the bolt gun or whatever, and you know, that's just not the right way to kill things. And so it's very much like, we have to do this to survive kind of thing, but like, even though they obviously don't. But to me, it's like regression versus like modernity. Or even like, is this what a family is when there's no mom? It's just
all downhill without mom.
Well, it's just like masculinity,
failure of the patriarchy.
Like, and yeah, I don't know.
Well, Leatherface could be seen in the end. Leatherface puts on makeup.
Yeah,
and
so
woman's
he's trying to be like the mom figure.
Yeah,
while also being like infantilized. So
I think it's.
Well, and they talk about the dad. They're like, you don't do anything. You're just the cook. We do all the work.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this movie made me think a lot about Silence of the Lambs because both are based off the same serial killer.
Really? Okay.
What's his name? Ed Gein? Or
Ed Gein. Yeah. Also, Psycho was based on him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, he
had body parts like that.
Body parts and skinned people, and I think this film isn't like as nuanced as A Silence of the Lambs, obviously. No. But
it's surprisingly deep, though.
Like, there's a lot you can read into this movie, and that surprises me.
What was the name of that painting that I showed you like an hour ago when we were watching this movie?
By Andrew Wyeth.
Yes.
Isn't it like Leslie's World or something like that?
No.
Sarah's World.
Yeah, something like that. We'll look it up really quick. But there's Bloody Disgusting put out an article recently that showed how this painting inspired Texas Chainsaw, and it's by Andrew Wyeth, and it's called
Christina's
World, and it is like a Texas vista where a girl is crawling on her...
It looks as if she's run away from this dilapidated house on the prairie.
On the hill,
and she's like
collapsed,
white. And she's looking back. And it's very striking, and it's always been very depressing.
Yeah, and she's either crawling towards it or she's running away from it.
I've always pictured that she like ran away and she can't escape. So she's looking at it in, like, despair.
So, like, oddly enough, this movie that is, like, a hallmark of, like, gross, low-level B-grade filmmaking is inspired by, like, paintings and, you know, these really interesting
like, this is a very
artistic references.
We've been saying it all throughout this show already, but this is a very artistically well-done movie, and I was not expecting that because it is the birthplace of, like, cannibal hillbilly horror.
It's so striking going inside the house versus what's outside because there's no indication.
Yeah.
Of what would be inside there.
And even inside, like, there's such fantastic contrast. Like, the hall is...
Yes.
Like, when you enter through the front screen door, there's a hall with a staircase, and it's all kind of dilapidated.
Well, they're, like, animal skins hanging all over the walls.
Yeah, but then there's the red wall with the animal skulls perfectly aligned.
Yeah. And
it's just such a contrast between, like, decay and structure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good looking.
It's super visually striking. But my favorite is, like, she escapes the house and runs out.
Sally jumps through windows multiple times.
She is not scared to die. Like, she does not care. But she runs outside the house, and it was like she was in this unspeakable chamber of horrors, and then it's like this really beautiful morning, like on the prairie.
they were having a barbecue at like 6 a.m.
Yeah, that don't make sense. But it's like beautiful and foggy, and she's just this weird figure running covered in blood on this like really gorgeous vista. Speaking of, you want to talk about that last shot? Because it haunts me.
With Leatherface waving his chainsaw in despair.
Well, he's like, he's looks frustrated. Like dancing to me. I understand that he's frustrated that she got away, but it's kind of like...
It kind of looks like he's dancing, yeah.
It's balletic in a way, and like the sun is rising behind him, and it's so weirdly beautiful, and it's so up close, and he's just like throwing the chainsaw in circles.
I've also seen it parodied too many times for me to like take it too seriously.
Okay.
But I get what I get your argument.
It's kind of like, for me, it's like this person does not know how to express anything. So like all he could, like the chainsaw is like an extension of his body.
Yeah.
And he just has to, I don't know, use it to be expressive.
Again, I was not expecting to read as deep into this film.
You know, me neither until he started talking about it. But thoughts about Texas Chainsaw?
I really liked it. It's very unsettling.
Wyeth was upset.
I was there. I was hunched over the whole time.
It has jump scares that are so good.
The soundtrack, there's no music, but it's all like low-grade industrial noise.
Yes.
And it's so unsettling.
There's no build-up with the music, like violins, like you would normally see.
Yeah, the jump scares have no shrieking percussion or anything.
No, it just happens and makes it worse.
Oh, it's so awful. I absolutely will recommend it.
Yeah, it's a great movie. You have to be in a mood.
Yeah.
You need to like have an empty stomach.
You need to be prepared. It's definitely earns its classic status.
It's really short also.
84 minutes.
You just kind of have to like have an iron stomach.
What's crazy is Tobe Hooper wanted this to be PG, but because thinking that he could get away with it by not showing any of the violence.
Yeah.
But because he didn't show any of the violence, it made it way more visceral.
Yes.
And part of me is kind of like, well, this movie is not more violent than Jaws.
No, it isn't.
But the fact that it's like people killing people, that's what makes it so much worse.
I think that's such a testament to his skill as a director, and I believe this was his first feature. But yeah, I think you can do so much with so little. It reminds me, I've already said this, but it reminds me of Creep, because there is no violence in that movie.
Yeah.
Except at the very end, from very far away, and you hardly see him.
You don't see any blood, even.
But that's one of the scariest movies I've ever seen.
Oh, Creep is terrifying!
You do not need... So people who, like, use violence and blood and gore as a crutch, be better. Like, come on.
I think that's a great segue into Raw, because...
Yeah, okay.
Because Raw
I also like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, yeah.
Recommended.
Yes, enthusiastically, because Raw kind of feels like the other side of the coin from Texas Chainsaw.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go ahead and say I recommend Raw, but I also feel like it tries too hard.
I can see that. there's an internal logic in that movie that didn't really sell me. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll unpack that.
All right, yeah.
So would you like to...
Do plot?
Do plot.
Okay, so it centers on a girl called Justine. They're French. And she goes to... Her parents drop her off at the vet school that they went to and her sister attends. And they are all staunch vegetarians. And she is a little virgin who never lived outside of her parents' world bubble. And
a real homeschool.
She's very naive and sheltered.
She also weighs, she looks like she weighs 85
God. Her
pounds.
boobs are so small. Ugh. But, I mean, she can wear clothes that I cannot. I was jealous a little bit. But anyway, so she gets to vet school, and turns out that vet school is the craziest place anyone has ever been.
This looks like one of the circles of hell.
Does this happen at OSU vet school?
I don't know. We should go investigate.
So it's an extreme hazing ritual that goes on. Does this movie take place in a week?
Yes.
No!
I'm pretty sure it does.
It cannot!
It feels like years.
It does! I'm like, this is at least 3 months. But they're like, this is a hazing week, and you're all rookies, and you all have to do what we say, and we're gonna, like, ruin all of your stuff in your room and throw your bed out the window.
Oh, yeah. Night 1, she meets her roommate. It's a guy. She requested a girl.
He's gay.
Yeah. I liked him.
Yeah, I liked him
seems like
a lot.
It actually,
is
like...
his name, like, Antoine?
Yeah, Antoine.
Yeah.
He seems like an actually stable character.
He's chill. I like him.
Yeah. But the first night, upperclassmen in ski masks and lab coats break in, toss beds out the window, and force everyone to attend, like, an all-night rave.
Yeah.
Which looks exhausting.
Yep. And I don't know when they have time to do work. Like,
I don't
it's
either.
Crazy. So they're going through all of these initiations. They take like a class photo and they dump animal blood all over them. Very Carrie, which I'm writing a final about right now, so that's very big on my mind. Yeah, so, and then they force her to eat a raw rabbit liver.
Ugh.
So my question is
From this point on, I was gagging constantly.
I screamed a little.
Oh, we both...
You got my expectations so high that, like, it wasn't as bad as I thought it could be, but it was bad.
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
this was
gross.
The most disgusting horror movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Like, just in terms of, like, realness,
and
going a bit past a line that I hadn't seen before, because I'm used to zombie movies with, like, guts being pulled out. Like, that's kind of par for the course, but...
We'll get to it.
Oh my God.
My question is this.
Yes.
Was this, like, tainted meat or something?
No.
Well, no one else reacted like she reacted.
Right. And we'll get to that because it all comes together in the end.
Kind of. Not really for me.
But anyway, I'll walk you through.
Don't walk me through anything. If it don't make sense, that's the movie's fault. But anyway, go ahead.
So, because she's vegetarian, Juliet? Justine.
And her sister,
Alexia. Justine tries to get out eating the rabbit kidney, and her sister, like...
forces her.
Yeah. Like, shoves it in her mouth.
Her sister's, like, older and...
And looks like the one girl from The Craft.
I loved this sister's look. She looked great. But, yeah, she's part of the, like, people doing the initiation.
So, Justine...
parties all night. She's crazy.
So, after eating the rabbit kidney, Justine goes to bed and starts itching.
Scratch.
Wakes up with, like... She looks like she's molting.
Yeah.
Like,
there's a lot of rash happening.
The most disgusting body rash. And she gets, like... She goes to a clinic, gets...
They peel the skin off her?
It's like Ser Jorah getting that gray scale off.
Yeah. It is.
It's hard cut to a pot pie being broken open.
Shut up. That was the grossest. That was the grossest shit I ever seen. I blame Benioff and Weiss for that one. But, so yeah, and her doctor is like, what did they make you eat this time? And she's like, this. And she's like, you couldn't have said no and all that. And she's constantly hungry.
So, yeah, she starts developing a taste for meat.
Like, specifically raw meat.
Oh. At one point, at like 5 in the morning, she starts to eat a raw chicken breast.
Poor Adrian.
Yeah.
He's like, what are you doing? And she's like, nothing. I'm eating cereal. He's like, cereal isn't in there. And she's like, just go away. And then she's like,
yeah. Oh, it's so gross. Like, because have you ever just wondered, like, looking at chicken, like, what would it taste like raw?
No, I have not.
Well, I'm a cannibal.
I've eaten, like, undercooked chicken on accident, and it's rubbery and nasty. Blech. But no.
Apparently, what they used for her to eat, it was basically like a giant gummy.
Ooh, yum.
And
I would love that.
I kind of would too.
I love gummies.
And same. But the actress said the movie didn't turn her off of meat, but eating that gummy turned her off of candy.
Oh no.
That's sad.
I hate that. That's sad for her.
So, yeah.
This is another movie that, like, the plot isn't super integral. It just kind of tracks her development and like of this compulsion.
It feels a lot of the movie feels kind of like a fever dream.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no real plot. I'm okay with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's not.
It also kind of feels like set piece to set piece.
Yeah. Exactly. So she increasingly just like eats more and more raw food.
It goes from the chicken to the waxing scene. No, not the wax. Oh, there's a scene before that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. When's the first time she eats human?
That's the scene. But before that, there's the rooftop.
Licking the blood.
There's so many gross scenes not involving, like, gore. Like, she and her sister have a conversation while her sister has her hand up a cow rectum. Yeah.
And
then I
do not want to go to vet school.
No.
Sorry.
And then they go up to the roof of the school, and they just pee. They pee on the roof.
The sister, like, has a real talent of, like, pissing standing up.
Straight.
It's amazing.
I
kind of want to try. I'm not going to do it.
Well,
but, like, I'm
tune in
now.
next week.
And I'm like, update on Pissgate.
Part of me wondered, like, how many takes did that take? Or do they have, like,
I'm sure they have, like, a bladder.
I was wondering that.
Yeah.
Because it's, like, notoriously difficult to do it real. Because
what are you talking about? For a woman to piss standing up? Or to piss on camera?
To film a scene where someone urinates.
Oh, okay.
Because you have to drink tons of water and the thread of multiple takes. Like the one in Shame where...
I've never seen Shame.
Well, it's
Fassbender's giant dick.
It's huge. But there's a scene where he urinates, and apparently it took a lot of takes.
My mom, the other day, she was like, we're going to see a Michael Fassbender movie. And I'm like, he's got a big-ass dick. And she goes, your brother said the same thing. None of my children know this. Why do you all know this?
Well, for Mama Broyles, Shame is a great movie. It's just...
I've never seen it. It's word of mouth.
Grueling, though.
Okay.
So...
When was the first time that she ate meat? Or didn't she, like, lick her own blood or something?
I don't think so. I don't remember.
She drinks some blood at some point. She's like...
Well, that's next. Because after the peeing scene...
I think there was something before the finger, but I'm not
I can't remember either.
Okay.
So after the rooftop...
It goes by increments.
They go down
she builds up to
her sister's room where they're going to do bikini wax.
As a woman, that was the scary part of this movie.
As a man, that was terrifying also.
Oh, I didn't like that at all. No, they're like, she's waxing her vag. Well, she has underwear on, but like around the vag. And didn't like it.
They didn't, on to like the third attempt, the sister didn't warm the wax enough, so it gets stuck. And I genuinely thought that she was going to rip it and like...
all of her skin was going to come off?
Like cabin fever.
Stop. I thought that would happen too.
But instead...
they just leave it on there, which was nice.
Which I always wondered, like, did they take care of that? Because you shouldn't leave that on.
I mean, They have a bigger medical emergency.
Because...
soon afterwards.
The sister loses the tip of a finger.
She gets this size of scissors.
Oh my god, what? You just pulled that out? What? Ah! Those are murder scissors.
I know. The sister gets scissors that are about a foot long.
Yeah.
No, not dissimilar to the ones I just pulled out.
These are ribbon cutting scissors that she pulls out to snip on her sister's downstairs.
Yeah, no. And the sister's like, no, stop. And she like kicks her.
It, and I don't really get the trajectory or how it happened, but the older sister, loses a tip of a...
Not a tip. She loses a whole finger.
No, it was like half. At least half.
Okay, well, it's not a tip.
Just a tip.
Anyway, there was a large piece of finger.
She
passes
out, and
she's bleeding everywhere.
Justine,
like a stuck pig,
picks up the finger, the blood drips on her hand, and she just like slurps it up, and then she
uses the finger like a straw. And she slurps on the end of it.
Pretty much. She has some finger food.
Oh, I had to gag. I gagged.
And the sister wakes up to seeing her sister eat her finger.
And she cries a little.
Mm-hmm. And then the dog gets blamed.
That's the biggest tragedy of this film.
And, yeah.
They put the dog down.
Justice for the dog. Because it turns out the sister's a cannibal, too.
All of them are cannibals.
Yes.
I feel like everyone in that vet school who's like older, like at least partakes sometimes.
I don't think it's all the school.
I think some people though, cause like, no, I do.
We'll get to that.
I mean, there's no textual evidence for that, but there's nothing that says no. Also,
so we find out the older sister's a cannibal because she causes a car to run into a tree, and then she goes over and starts eating
the brains of that
eating
dude.
The victim. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like, not that I consider cannibalism an option, but that's something interesting I've found in a lot of cannibal movies. Like, there is a disease that you get if you eat another person's brain.
Oh yeah,
and it's degenerative.
Oh my god.
And so like you will lose your mind more. And, like, your brain will die if you ingest someone else's brain. Just a fun fact for this Sunday evening.
Jesus.
So don't be eating brains.
Don't go for the brains. And so it just escalates. Like, Justine is she becomes very sexually active.
Mm-hmm. With her gay roommate.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Who I think is bi. And
he was trying to, she was trying to munch on him, and he's like, quit. And then she ends up, like...
eating her own...
She bites into her own arm. Mm-hmm. Like, while she's, I think, climaxing? I don't know. Yeah. But, yeah. So that happens. She goes to all these raves now with her sister.
And her sister...
whenever she makes out with a guy, she bites him.
Yep. That paint scene.
That... She looks so bad. Like, this movie, like, at the beginning, she's, like, the cutest little gal. Mm-hmm. And then as, like, the movie progresses, she gets more and more, like, tired looking. And just, like, bad, like, under eye bags. And her hair is greasy. And she just, like, doesn't care anymore. And she walks at one point. What was that? When she's, like, under the covers and someone's, like, beating her. And she's itching. Was that a dream?
I think that was a dream.
Okay. So she comes into this party, like, looking really bad. I have really good reflexes. Don't, like, slap my knee. I'm sorry,
but I just remembered, in this rave, you see someone lick another person's eyeball as they dance together.
I didn't see that. I was looking away. That's funny.
Yeah, this guy just goes up to a girl and he holds his eye open for her, and she, like... licks it.
Yummy.
The open eye.
I think there's a manga guy named, I think his name's Suhiro Maruo, and he like draws a lot of licking eyeballs. So I'm like kind of not phased. You're numbed to the licking eyeball phenomenon. No, but she enters one of these parties and immediately gets a face full of blue paint, and that was unexpected.
Just blew herself.
I'm out.
Well, And so she's blue, and this other guy is covered in yellow paint, and a upperclassman forces them into a bathroom and says, "Don't come out until you're green," because art.
Gross.
And later,
because of like frats. No, this just reminded me of every frat house on our college campus, and I'm like, ew. This should all be shut down. It's all disgusting.
Burn it all to the ground.
Yep.
And the guy comes out of the bathroom a moment later with having Justine bit his
lip is a little broke in the middle.
Yeah, bit. And then she goes back to wash the blue paint off. Was that her tooth that fell out?
No, I think that was a piece of meat. That was a piece of his lip that fell out of her mouth, and then she picks it up and eats it.
I thought it was a tooth.
I did too. I thought her body was like decaying.
So did I.
But I think it was meat because she ate it.
I was going to say, I was like, that did not seem as crunchy as I thought a tooth would be.
Yeah, I agree. But speaking of, going back to Texas Chainsaw for a second, I forgot about this amazing shot where on the porch, they are knocking on the door of the Sawyer's house and something falls and it's a tooth. Yeah. Just like on this pristine white porch. Anyway.
So back to the rave. We're licking eyeballs and Justine is standing in a corner with one leg up on
She looks so good.
That song she was listening to, and making out with the mirror.
She's hot and confident. She's feeling cocky.
She was into that necrophilia song.
You know.
Blech. Blech. And at this party, a video is recorded of her trying to eat. It's not at the vet hospital.
It's at the morgue.
It's at the morgue, because where else you have a rave?
At a morgue.
And there's a video of her, like, super drunk trying to eat a corpse.
Alex is, like...
Alexia is...
dangling the arm of a corpse in front of her sister on the ground. She's, like, nipping at it. Mm-hmm. And everyone's like, ooh, this is a little
and
too,
it goes,
too messed
like,
up.
viral. And
yeah, so everyone hates her on campus.
So she and her sister get into, like, a cannibal fight in the middle of campus.
They're fighting each other.
And it's like, it's obvious that they want to kind of eat each other, but they get past it.
Yes. Somehow, you know.
And that
is like the day after is when it happens.
Yeah. So the real climax of the movie is Justine wakes up next to what's his
Adrian.
Name? To Adrian. Adrian. And his leg is...
She reaches down to, like, his dick. And she comes up with a handful of blood.
And she pulls back the covers. Part of his leg has been chewed off.
Like, half of his thigh is gone. Yeah. And that's, like...
Like, to the bone.
And that's why I was thinking, like, it makes sense, from what I know of human anatomy, to die like that. Because you do have an artery in your thigh.
Absolutely.
So, it makes sense.
And she's worried that she did it.
I think she did part of it.
I don't think she did it.
I think she had blood on her mouth. I think she did some of it.
I thought that was... No, because of her wound. Because her sister bit part of her cheek off. And because of how she was resting on the pillow, and she had reopened the wound and smeared it along her face.
Maybe. I don't know. I interpreted it as she did a little bit of that.
I could definitely see that in, like, heat of the moment.
Yeah, because, like, when she gets excited, like, it's like a vampire movie.
Oh, it's terrifying.
She's like, But she sees her sister...
covered in blood, and...
So she ate and killed Adrian.
Yeah. And so her sister goes to prison, and the movie ends with Justine...
I was like... To me, how did the sister go to prison and not Justine? Like, she's done really fucked up stuff.
I wonder if Justine just put it all on her.
Or Alex took the fall. Because she seemed to, like, not hold any...
grudge. I could see that.
Bad blood.
Taking the fall for her little sister.
Yeah. So the ending is where I am not 100% clear.
So Justine's back at home. Her mom very angrily tells her to eat all the vegetables on her plate and storms off.
Like a child.
And her father gives her this brief story about meeting her mother.
Yes.
And then
the mom and dad also went to this vet college.
Yeah, right. And then the dad opens his shirt to show the rash that she had.
No, I didn't think it was a rash.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was all the scars from where they had eaten on each other.
I think it's both.
Oh, okay.
It's a rash because they've stopped eating meat,
mm-hmm.
but also they still, as a husband and wife, still nibbled on each other. So I think that this family is just a family of cannibals. I don't think the whole school is full of cannibals.
So you're saying they're like predisposed to do it somehow?
Like genetically or something like that. Like kind of
it's not 100% clear though.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. So the sister just kind of went wild with it while the parents are like controlling it. But my thing is, if they knew that was what was going to happen, why did they send her to that vet college? Why did they send their kids there?
I don't know. My theory is that's like tradition, and they wanted them to continue the family
Cannibalism
legacy.
Kind of trumps tradition, in my opinion.
But I feel like there's this wave of movies coming from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre of where cannibalism is like
a
family thing.
Yes.
Like We Are What We Are.
Yeah.
That's a great little cannibal movie.
Mm-hmm. Great little cannibal movie.
By Jim Mickle, who is a fantastic director.
I wasn't clear on the internal logic of the movie. I wasn't clear on whether Justine helped kill Adrian or whether the parents like passed down a predisposition or if she was okay now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like there were just some unanswered questions. Like it was a compelling film. I don't know if I enjoyed it, but I think it's worth watching. But it wasn't kind of the cinematic experience I expected it to be based on all the hype around it.
We did not discuss the hair scene.
Oh, that was gross. That was also gross.
At one point, Justine throws
She's nervously biting her hair, which I used to do.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't
and
do
then
that I also didn't, like, eat it.
Yeah, it turns out that she had eaten, like, half her hair. And so there's a scene of her, like...
vomiting up just a string of hair.
It's like a magician gag.
It's like the scarf.
The never-ending scarf, but it's like slimy hair.
Just coming out of her throat.
So...
It's just... So what do you think this movie's really about? Because it's not about cannibalism.
I didn't feel like it's really...
You have glitter on your face.
What?
You have glitter on your face.
That was deeply unintentional.
Anyway.
Do you feel like this movie's a sexual awakening metaphor?
Yes.
I didn't really think it was that.
I felt like it was about repression in any way that you can consider that. Well, obviously sexually.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's about going from a child and like living in the parents' bubble that was so heavily controlled, and like at the beginning there's accidentally some meat that gets slipped into her mashed potatoes and her mom freaks out and like yells at a woman. So like her parents are obviously like super overbearing and controlling, and she dresses like really childlike. She wears like a unicorn t-shirt to the first day of class, and I'm like, okay, you're really lame. But but I feel like this is her first like taste of freedom and adulthood, and she goes way over. You know, she like, it's the perils of repression. Yeah. Because then once you're free of that, you're going to, you know,
I didn't really see the need for a metaphor or like real deep subtext. I just really took it at face value of just discovering the joys of cannibalism.
Isn't that a cookbook? The Joys of Cannibalism.
Probably.
How to cook a human.
Probably
that's a Simpsons.
Probably reference. On the dark web.
Next to the Anarchist Cookbook. There we go.
A little more safe.
So, any other thoughts on Raw?
I would definitely recommend it.
It's surprisingly short.
Yeah.
So there's that.
It never feels like it's really. There's no like downtime, and I appreciate that.
I don't know.
Or, like, it never really drags.
Okay, I think it could be paced better. I feel like there's kind of a huge jump from eating raw meat in your fridge to eating your sister's finger. But
or maybe we're just not remembering
the link. We watched a lot of media today. We are black holes of media.
Yeah. I watched Raw, and then I had to immediately start carving meat for our Friendsgiving that we had yesterday. It was an uncomfortable experience because I was cutting ribs. And I was just like, oh.
My question about that movie the entire time I was like, does this have a no animals were harmed while making this film at the end? Or does that just like fly in France?
The one scene that I really couldn't watch was the dog autopsy.
Yeah. There's some like, I feel like, was that horse okay? You know what I mean?
Like, I wonder if this was actually shot as,
like at a vet
school while they did actual vet stuff.
That would make sense. Because, I don't know, there were a lot of living animals getting shit done to them.
Yeah.
Which was weirding me out.
Was that cow? Like, did they make the actress, like, shove her hand up a cow?
It's France. Anything goes, man.
Wild.
Who knows? So Raw is a pretty good movie. It's
I recommend it.
It wasn't groundbreaking for me, and I really had super high expectations. Just because of the hype around it.
Mm-hmm. I don't think I'll ever see it again.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I saw it.
Yeah, I mean, you can wear it like a badge of honor.
I don't see it as like it is an extreme horror movie, but it's not like
French Extreme, like High Tension,
and
or
it's
anything like that,
or even like Cannibal Holocaust or a Serbian film.
No, okay, well, nothing's a Serbian film.
Thank goodness.
But yeah, it's tamer than I thought it would be. It's still gross out.
It's still a very artistically grounded movie.
Yeah. At one point, when it was coming out, they were like, people are throwing up in the theater, which is like something that they say a lot, about like, some hardcore movies.
Yeah, but a lot of movies where that happens, that's kind of like a badge of honor.
Yeah, Stung. I remember Stung or Bite.
Bite. Yeah, I wanted to see Bite.
There are two different movies that like have gross bug things happening. But yeah.
Stung is not good.
Okay, so it was Bite then.
Yeah.
That's one that they were like, people have been passing out and all that.
A real Cronenberg movie.
Pussies. Okay, so do you want to move on to, do you have anything else?
I don't. I think we've said all we can about
all we can, and we
about
can't stand no more. Can't stand no more cannibals.
Now, since we're moving on to Buffy, for my context for the listeners, this is the second Buffy episode I've ever seen. My friend Kim showed me...
Shout out to Kim,
Shout out to Kim. Showed me Hush one time.
I always think of the Deep Purple song when anyone says Hush. Anyway, this episode does not feel like a standalone episode. It's more of a standalone than some.
Okay, but
it's a monster of the week.
There's a lot of context.
I know.
That you tried to cram in.
Shut up! Don't act like you're mad about
it. I feel like I would enjoy Buffy if I sat down and watched that.
You should watch season 2 because it's a masterpiece of modern television. I'm not kidding. When I think it's the best thing ever on television. Season 2 of Buffy, okay? So this is from season 4. It's an episode called Pangs, and it's their one Thanksgiving episode. Buffy has a few Halloween episodes, but has one Thanksgiving episode. And it is set during Buffy's first year of college, and she's really, like, feeling... like she doesn't really have a home anymore, and she's not living at home, and it's this weird transition time, so she decides to make up the best Thanksgiving dinner ever. And it does not go well.
It does not go well.
So this is when all of the initiative storyline is happening, which is the kind of military base underneath this college where they, like, find... the demons and stuff and like do experiments on them and everything. So Spike, my baby boy, my sweet baby boy, my boyfriend, if you will, escapes the initiative. So he's kind of on the run, doesn't have anywhere to go, ends up at Buffy's house for Thanksgiving. So the monster of the week, they are breaking ground on like a cultural center in Sunnydale, and they find an old abandoned like lost Spanish mission underground.
Where in the geographical...
Southern California.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sunnydale, California. Yeah. So it makes sense geographically that a Spanish mission would be there. So they awaken a vengeful Native American spirit who is coming back for revenge and to kill everyone who was involved in this.
Which, if anyone has a right to do that.
Yes. And that's the whole point of the episode. So Willow is like, Thanksgiving's the worst, and we're celebrating genocide. And
Pilgrims are murderers, and turkey is a garbage bird.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And she's like, it's not all about them big buckles and hats and maize. No. It's about killing Native people. So she's like hardcore woke at this point in like 2000. It's great. And Buffy really wants to have a dinner anyway. And so the whole episode is basically them trying to decide whether or not to fight this Native American spirit, because like technically he's right.
Yeah.
You know?
If anyone has a right. Yes.
Yeah. So Xander gets all of the illnesses that Native Americans suffered under like colonialism. So he's like slowly dying of syphilis, and it's really hilarious because I hate Xander and like his dick should fall off.
Wait, what? So what's wrong with Xander?
He's like the TM nice guy. The original.
Like, is he actually a nice guy or like a bad nice guy?
He's a bad nice guy.
Ugh.
Like, yeah, he's very problematique. He has done really shitty things, and he gets worse as the series goes on. So yeah, Xander's
well, team Giles.
Giles.
With
like a J sound.
Ah, that's weird.
Giles is not weirder?
Yeah, because it's pronounced with an actual fucking G.
Don't curse at me right now. I don't need this. Anyway, so it's a great little Thanksgiving episode that actually addresses the reason for the season, which is genocide, and whether white people are all culpable.
And this group of white people actually end up killing the Native American spirits, which I was like, couldn't they find a peaceful resolve?
I know, right?
But I will say I deeply love the gag of Spike bound up in a chair, and each time the camera cuts to him, he has more arrows in him.
I mean, that's the perks of being dead, I guess. Later in the he kind of like stays at Giles' house, but like tied up, and he's like in the bathtub tied up, and Giles feeds him blood through a mug that says "Kiss the Librarian," and it's iconic. Okay, but it's a really clever episode that addresses something that I don't think any other show has addressed when it comes to a Thanksgiving episode.
Excuse you, Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I haven't seen that.
Every Thanksgiving episode, it gets called out.
Okay, was it like the main plot of the show?
No, but it gets a lot of call-outs.
Okay, so this is like 2000, so I'm proud of them for doing this. And it has the like signature Buffy humor. It has really good character development, and to the point where like they tackle this really hard issue, but they acknowledge that it doesn't have any answers. Yeah,
I really wanted a happy ending because America has really ticked over the Native American populations. Yep. And I really think we have to make reparations.
Yes, I agree.
But oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like an episode about coming to terms with the fact that like white people won and
white people suck.
Yeah. So what do we say? We have nothing to say.
Yeah. So it was a quiet dinner of regret.
Yeah. Yes. And I feel it's so weird as someone who like I grew up in a community that was very closely tied to Cherokee culture, and like I learned the language in school, and like that's part of my family that is very celebrated, and we talk about it all the time, but like I appear extremely white, like piece of paper.
Yeah, well, me too. My dad got his master's in Native American studies, and he worked at the Cowboy Hall of Fame for decades.
Yeah.
And he worked very hard to make sure that Native Americans got to, like, present their art their way.
Yes.
And so I grew up going to, like, powwows and a lot of, like, Native American cultural events. Mm-hmm. And so I've always had appreciation for, like, hey, white people are awful.
Yeah. And I mean, when I moved to New Mexico, it's very different, like, in terms of, like, Native culture and, like, the divide, because you basically have, like, white people, Hispanic people, and Native people. And, like, I was very much, like, who's this white bitch? Like, saying that she's Native American. But, I mean, it's complicated. And I have really conflicting feelings about Thanksgiving. Because I enjoy it, and I love seeing my family. But also, like, if anyone should be pissed off about it, we should.
Yes.
So, since, we were,
I've never
on the Trail of Tears and shit.
Yeah. I've never really liked Thanksgiving as a holiday. Mm-hmm. I love the concept of
eating a lot
and eating a lot with friends.
Yeah.
Like last night at Friendsgiving, my heart was so full and my stomach felt so bloated.
Oh, that's sweet.
It was a dream, really. But it's just like,
and we even had like, you're like the brother I like, and Clayton's like my actual brother because I just want to kick his ass like all the time. I'm like done with him.
I love my children. But just so much of like Thanksgiving, pilgrims. Oh God.
Yeah. No. I don't know. It's a difficult question, and one that, oddly enough, the WB Supernatural comedy series, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, addressed that.
Who could have predicted? Welcome to Evil Dread. We get unexpectedly real.
Yeah, just like Buffy, unexpectedly extremely dark sometimes.
Oof.
Okay, so as someone who had never really seen Buffy, what did you think? I know there was a lot of context that you were missing.
Oh, you were throwing facts at me like just fast and furious.
I just wanted you to know.
But I really enjoyed the 2 episodes of a 7-season show. Yeah,
it's great. Everyone please write in and tell Wyeth to start on season 2.
My phone lit up and I thought people had already started.
It's happening. It's not even up yet. We're recording this like on voice notes. But they heard me. Anyone within the sound of my voice.
It'll be a Christmas break.
Yes, and you better like live tweet me the whole time.
I will.
Okay. I love Buffy. I love this episode. I've already said that. I do think season 4 is a pretty weak season overall.
Is that the one with Hush?
Yes, okay. But it has really good standalone episodes like Pangs and like Hush. So yeah, that's just my onion on Buffy. A really great Thanksgiving episode.
Good onion.
And I would be remiss not to mention the very last shot, because the entire episode Angel was in town, but he didn't want Buffy to know. And then at the very end...
But everyone knows. Except Buffy.
At the Thanksgiving dinner, Xander let slip, like, oh yeah, also, it's cool that Angel is in town too. And everyone, like, it's from Buffy's perspective, and they all turn towards her, like, ugh.
It looked like an album cover.
I loved it.
For, like, The Offspring or something.
And Spike was just, like,
Spike
really
looks like he should be The Offspring.
About it. There's a line somewhere in those 7 seasons where he was like, Billy Idol stole my look, so, like, I did this first. Anyway, okay.
Alright, so Lynn has something special prepared.
If this episode isn't gonna be long enough anyway, I thought that maybe we could talk about some alternative Thanksgiving media options.
I had no idea Thanksgiving meant this much to you.
It never really did until I went to college, and I went to college, like, super far away from my family, and on Thanksgiving, like, I had never really flown before, but I would fly into Dallas and meet my parents and stay at my grandparents' house for, like, a weekend, or 3 or 4 days, and it was, like, a highlight of my semester, and I really enjoyed it, and it always made me feel like I was in, like, a indie dramedy, where I was, like, returning home, like, from college, you know? Anyway,
I would love to see you in a Cameron Crowe movie.
Thank you. So, these are some Thanksgiving set movies or movies about Thanksgiving, whatever, that I think are really great for if you don't want to watch the Macy's Day Parade or the Purina International Dog Show. We always watch the dog show. I love the dog show.
I do have one of my favorite memories of Thanksgiving, because my family and I were having dinner with one of our extended family members, and just on in the background, because it always seems like it's on during
eating time.
Yeah, during Thanksgiving, like one of the Lord of the Rings movies, and it was like
it's like every holiday.
Yeah, and it was the Battle for Helm's Deep.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of that whole series. I love Two Towers.
And the family member who will remain unspecified.
Was it McCall?
No.
Oh,
it was older. She goes, "Can you imagine living in such a time?" And like the immediate Leslie's in the room, like just clenched on to keep from reacting.
That's really funny.
And all I could think was like, yes, every day I think about that.
It's such a time. That's like when I asked Al's dad if Game of Thrones was historically accurate, and he didn't know me that well. So, he didn't know I was joking. But anyway, so yeah, if you don't want to watch the dog show, which I love, and you should watch the dog show.
Watch either Lord of the Rings or Lynn's picks.
Okay, so my picks, one of my favorite movies is called The House of Yes, and it is directed by, I think his name is Mark Waters. He went on to do like Mean Girls, and he is the brother of the writer of Heathers, and it's an adaptation of a Wendy McLeod play. And it's basically a straight, just filmed play. It's very like a chamber drama kind of thing, where it just occurs in a house. Mm-hmm. And it's set in the early 80s. And Marty Pascal is at college in New York. And he comes home with his new girlfriend, Leslie, played by Tori Spelling, oddly enough. She's actually good in this movie, though. It's really weird.
I'm unfamiliar with her.
She was on 90210.
I don't know.
Okay. So he brings Tori Spelling home to their weird house, and they're like neighbors to the Kennedys. So that's a big part of their life. They like are in the shadow of the Kennedys always. And so he has a twin sister named Jackie, and they call her Jackie O, and she is crazy. And they also have a younger brother named Anthony, played by Freddie Prinze Jr. And he comes home to this weird family dynamic, and Leslie, the girlfriend, is like, "Oh, we're getting married," and they came home to tell the family that they're getting married, and the dad is like not in the picture, and we think like the mom might have killed him. It's really intense. So Jackie O starts losing her mind, and throughout the movie, it's like hinted at, and then it's finally revealed that Marty and Jackie O have been lovers their entire lives, even though they're twins. And she feels like possessive of him.
It's a real Crimson Peak flowers in the attic scenario. Yeah. Which, question.
Huh.
The other day I was in a bookstore.
And you bought Flowers in the Attic and you loved it.
But it was that book was in the science fiction category, and is it?
Not that I know of.
Okay. So
I think it's in the twins fucking category.
Okay, so moving along for that, question of genre.
But yeah, it's just, and it's so well written. I have the play, like, as a book. I, like, ordered it.
Why?
And Parker Posey plays Jackie O, and she is insane, but in the most, like, compelling way. Huh. And she's always, like, this is odd to say.
So this is your Thanksgiving movie.
I love it.
Incest.
It's set at Thanksgiving.
Okay.
Also. Okay. And, like, all the power goes out, and it's, like, crazy.
Is it like Clue?
A little bit. Well, no one dies, but someone catches someone having sex with their brother. Like, you know? It's really intense. Hi, Mom, what's up? But it's really odd to say, but, like, they have amazing chemistry also. Like, it dares to make it kind of, like, sexy, which is uncomfortable, but also really compelling.
Listen, everything you're saying is in the year 2017 with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, but like this is better. Because I don't know, I really love the Kennedys. I'm like obsessed with the Kennedys.
I would just like to go on record and say that all incest is gross.
I agree. Like, I'm not disagreeing, but like, this movie takes a brave step to like treat it as not gross, weirdly. But anyway, I don't know. I'm not an advocate for incest, nor have I ever been. But as someone who's also obsessed with the Kennedys, it's really cool.
Okay.
Also, I would always go to Dallas for Thanksgiving, which was like 2 days before,
there's a connection
before JFK was shot.
Break out the red yarn.
And I would always go to the Love Field, which is where he flew into before he was shot. Anyway, I have like a weird fascination with him. Okay, so that's The House of Yes. You really need to see it.
Wild.
It's a wonderful script, great acting, perfect movie, perfect Thanksgiving movie. It'll make you feel happy that your family isn't like that. Okay, second one is called The Vicious Kind, and I've been trying to get Wyatt to watch this movie for like a long time. It stars Adam Scott.
Okay.
Okay. And he is a guy who was like recently left by his wife, so he's extremely depressed. And it's another one of these movies where like his younger brother brings home like a fiance who looks a lot like his ex-wife. And so it's like a family drama, and it's kind of funny, and Adam Scott is playing like the biggest asshole in the world.
This sounds a lot like Dan in Real Life, which is a great little movie.
Okay, I haven't seen it in a long time, but I have.
That'll be my Thanksgiving pick.
Okay, Dan in Real Life?
Yeah,
okay.
we'll get to that.
I feel like this is much more depressing than Dan in Real Life.
Probably. An edgy version of Dan in Real Life.
And it has the song Welcome Home by Radical Face in it, and that was like very beautiful to me. Anyway, I love that movie. It's another like really sad family drama. My favorite genre of movie is sad white family at the holidays.
Ugh.
And like someone's cheating on someone.
Somewhere in the future, I can see Al making her.
Stop! I like what I like. I'm sorry.
Sad people trying their best.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But like most of the time, it's not good enough.
No.
But anyway, last one. I swear. Well, also just all the Thanksgiving Frasier episodes. They're really good.
Shout out to Fraser as always.
Shout out to a Lilith Thanksgiving. That's a great episode. Finally, The Last Waltz, which is the concert film by the band.
Oh, yeah.
Martin Scorsese directed it.
Call.
It's the last concert the band ever did, and it was on Thanksgiving in like 1978.
Oh, wow. I've always wanted to see that.
It's great.
Do they end on The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down?
Oh, I think they do.
Oh my god!
I love that song so much. Levon Helm owns my ass. I bet you never thought anyone would say that about the drummer of the band, but he
Listen,
does.
I shocked my dad the other day when I told him I love the band, because I think at this point he had just assumed that all I listened to is like weird hipster music or like metal. And so he was like, "Take a load off her." Oh my god, that's one of my favorite songs of all time.
We sang that together last night at YouTube karaoke.
I think we needed a couple more drinks to
really get it.
Because I was very shy around all these people. Because Al can attest when it's just us in the car, I go wild on that song.
Yeah, okay. Let's do The Night They Drove Old Dixie Down next time.
I need to learn that one.
Or even Tears of Rage.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so if you like a good concert movie, you like 70s rock, and a bunch of beardy dudes just like cranking out some soul-crushing tunes.
Some great Americana jams.
Yeah. So The Last Waltz, it's also a Thanksgiving movie. I think... Who comes out and sings with it? Like Patti Smith or something?
Oh, shoot. I don't know. I need to see it.
There are a few, like, guests.
Okay.
I think Bob Dylan's in it, too.
Oh, wow.
Because he played with the band. They were his backing band.
I do like Bob.
For a while.
I like old Bob.
Me, too. I'm obsessed with Bob Dylan. Okay, so those are some alternative, super depressing, extremely sad Thanksgiving.
A happy movie, like, just a really pure movie, Dan in Real Life. I like serious Steve Carell.
Okay.
I think he's a very good actor.
Are you gonna see Last Flag Flying though?
I do. I like Richard Linklater.
Me too.
I think it's a good cast, but Dan Real Life is like the movie with Adam Scott, but happier.
Okay.
It's so Steve Carell's wife has died a couple years ago, and he's been raising 3 daughters by himself.
That's sad.
And they all go to a family reunion, and his brother has played by Dane Cook.
Ew.
Who's actually a pretty good actor in this.
I love that we all had like an unspoken agreement to not speak of him after 2010.
The Nickelback of stand-up comedians.
It was like, we're done with this, yeah? And everyone was like, yeah.
He's... Juliet... what's her name?
Binoche?
Yes, he's dating Dane Cook is dating Juliette Binoche.
That sounds like a horror film to me.
And she and Steve Carell have great chemistry in this. And they realize they should be together.
It's a twins in the house. Yes, chemistry.
I will say it's better. Like, this is such a pure, happy movie, and no one saw it when it came out.
I have the DVD at somewhere in my house. I need to rewatch it.
It's so good.
Very cool.
Anyway, so as a counterpoint to all the movies that we've talked about in the past, 2 hours or however long, Dan in Real Life.
Dan in Real Life. We're only at 120. That's not too bad. This is
not our longest episode.
That's shocking. Well, it's getting there. Do you have any personal picks? Please do, because I have some, and I feel like I've been talking this entire time.
You have not. I do. I've been playing this little click and point adventure game called Stasis.
Okay.
It's do you know click and point or
point and click?
Whatever.
Yeah.
You wake up. It's like your character wakes up on a spaceship,
Ew,
and you have no memory of how he got there. And it's a real love letter to Alien and Event Horizon. The story is really cliche. There's mutants and all sorts of gross things going on.
Sweet.
But if 80s industrial spaceship is your aesthetic, this game has that in spades, and I love it.
Okay. Cool beans.
I don't think it's particularly scary, but just the art design is really strong.
Sweet.
And there's some moments that really made me scream. There's one moment where you have to perform spinal surgery on yourself, and I was losing it. Oh, it's so great. I think it's worth a purchase.
Scarier than Until Dawn?
Less fun, but
okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else?
No.
Okay. I have 2 this week. One is a podcast. It's called Buffering the Vampire Slayer. It's a recap podcast, and it's been a real landmark of purity and kindness in my life during a very stressful time. But it's hosted by Kristen Russo and Jenny Owen Youngs, and Jenny is a musician, and they are wives, and they are watching all of Buffy together, and they're talking about it with their friends.
That sounds like a delightful.
It's very cute, very sweet. At the end of every episode, they do an original song inspired by that episode.
What?
And some of them are great. All of them are on Spotify.
Oh, wow.
Seasons 1 and 2 are albums on Spotify.
Whoa.
And some are I listen to for fun. You'd think they'd be corny and stuff, and some of them are because there's some corny episodes, but there's some amazing music that came out of that podcast somehow, and I'm really enjoying it. They're super sweet. They're very queer positive, and anytime anything problematic happens on the show, they're like, the patriarchy, this is problematic, but we love it,
Well, I'm glad they call it out.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Kristen Russo is an LGBT activist. They're just really cool people talking about Buffy, and it reignited my love for the show. And then finally, I watched all of Search Party over 5 days last week. They're only 10 episodes. They're 25 minutes each. It stars my beautiful girlfriend crush, Elia Shawkat from Arrested Development, and she is a Brooklyn resident who sees a missing sign for a girl she went to college with. So she's I have no direction in my life right now, and I somehow really want to find this girl. That's what I'm going to devote myself to.
Really cool concept. Mm-hmm. So it's a comedy. It's a comedy, but also Brooklyn hipsters Nancy Drew.
And they make fun of how, like, hipster her friends are.
So is it, like, aloof humor, like Arrested Development, or does it have heart?
It's not, like, ha-ha humor. It's more like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening. This is ridiculous humor. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd say it has heart. One of her friends is this guy who's, like, very, very outwardly gay, and he is extremely annoying. But he has lied to everyone and said he survived cancer in high school.
Oh my
and
God.
He's, like, exposed for being a liar. And she's like, I can't believe you're a bad person. He's like, we all lie. Get past it. It's fine. Like, what? And it's a really great show. I'm not gonna spoil anything. But, like, when they finally find her, it's not anything that they expected.
Oh my god.
Like, they built it up so much. And there's a cult that they infiltrate
Ooh.
in Brooklyn that's a bunch of artists. They're weird. And everyone's pregnant. And it's, just really... It's a super clever show. And they finally find her at the end. And the private detective they were working with, played by Ron Livingston from Office Space.
I know who Ron Livingston is.
Yeah.
I headcast him in a lot of books I read.
I love him so much. They kill him. And that wasn't
Not to spoil anything.
No. That's the whole season 2 that premiered tonight.
Oh my God.
They're like, so this girl's okay, and we just gonna. So it's like ridiculous, stupid hipsters attempting to cover up a murder.
What platform is it on?
It's on TBS, weirdly enough.
Oh.
So I watched it all on, like, the TBS app, but, you know.
I might have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really, I'm sure you can, like, pirate it.
Your sitcom recommendations are a real scatter plot.
What do you mean?
You're the Worst.
I love You're the Worst. Did you watch it?
No. Just from what you showed me...
That was a bad episode, bro.
I had no interest.
You came in on a really off one.
But you did recommend BoJack, which...
Yeah.
Well,
I have good taste. Like, don't act like you're surprised. You're the Worst is pretty good, but you gotta be in a mood. You gotta be in a self-destructive mood.
More than BoJack?
A little less than BoJack, but, like, it's not as haha as BoJack either.
BoJack isn't haha.
No, it has, like, puns and shit. That's funny. You know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know.
Anyway, Search Party, Buffering the Vampire Slayer, everything I've said for the past hour and a half.
This has been a good episode for things that we've agreed about.
Oddly enough.
Yeah. Come together for Friendsgiving.
We didn't even fight about the presence of supernatural entities in a movie.
Mm-mm.
I re-listened to that the other day, and I'm like, holy shit.
Oh,
we're just yelling at each other.
You were ready to go at it.
My opinion hasn't changed, but, like...
There is no ghost in the house.
There's some ghosts in house.
Multiple people have come up to Lynn and told her she's wrong.
Multiple as in you and Al.
Yeah.
That's
multiple. That's the very
right.
definition.
Well, for this Thanksgiving, we hope you have a good time. We hope you watch, like, The Punisher or something, and also some other, like, depressing media that we recommend, because we only recommend depressing media, it seems like.
Watch something happy.
Also
May all your...
Dog show. Watch the dog show.
Oh, I thought you were just shouting dog show, which you are.
I love the dog show.
So may you enjoy all good food. Mm-hmm. May you win all your political debates. If you're on the right side, of course.
Make sure...
And there is a right side of history.
Oh, yes. Tell your family, like, enough to make them know that you are the most intelligent, successful thing that this family's ever turned out, but not too much to let them know you're a gay disaster.
What if you have a great and supportive family?
I'm talking about me personally.
Oh,
okay. Not my immediate family. Mom and dad are great, but keep Native Americans in your heart.
Yes.
Don't be rude to people who work at retail this season.
Be kind to them on Black Friday.
Be a good person. If you go see a movie on Thanksgiving, do it, like, later in the evening.
Go see Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. Okay, love everybody. This
has
been Lynn and Wyeth. Have a good Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Clearly behaved like a man demented, obsessed, utterly lost.